Words aren't enough to express how thankful and how glad I am to be a part of this organization. And I had complete faith in them from the get-go. And I've never wanted to be anywhere else. This is where I've wanted to be for as long as I've been born and playing football. So it's a dream come true. And just really excited to be back out there with the team today.
The congratulatory text that you received, and there were a lot. Did you get any from Joe Burrow since? Is this the next step in the contract derby?
I'm rooting for Joe. He's done such a fantastic job playing football, and I've got so much respect for him as a quarterback. I know he's a competitor. He's earned every penny. So rooting for him and pulling for him.
Justin Herbert, one day after signing his new contract. We have the full breakdown at ProFootballTalk.com with all the guarantees, the signing bonuses, the cash flow. The way the guarantees are set up is the smart way. All full guarantees vest at least 1 year before the money is paid. Makes it hard for the team to move on if and when the team decides to, although I can't imagine the Chargers ever wanting to move on from Justin Herbert. As we said yesterday, once we know that a franchise quarterback is a franchise quarterback, it is rare, barring injury, that all of a sudden they stop being franchise quarterbacks, Chris.
Yeah, that's right. They know they got one. We all know they got one. It doesn't matter who you talk to, and where you talk to them. When they start talking about Justin Herbert, coaches, people in the NFL, I think everybody's blown away. We've been blown away. We just need that marquee moment or a little playoff run, I think, to put them in the next stratosphere of guys there. But the talent and the potential is as big and as good as anybody in football. And that's why you lock them up and go from there. And now they don't have to worry about a quarterback for a long, long time when having Justin Herbert.
The first reaction by most of the people who cover the NFL when hearing about the Justin Herbert contract was Joe Burrow is now the next guy to get paid. And we all assume that he will become the highest paid player in league history once he signs his new contract between now and week 1. And we can only assume he will have that financial protection from the Cincinnati Bengals. He will have his long-term reward before the first game of the 2023 season. Here's Burrow from yesterday when he was asked the specific question of whether it matters to him what the other quarterbacks out there are making.
No, not particularly. I'm focused on getting a deal done that's good for us, good for me, good for the team, good for everybody.
Are you okay? Does it have to be done before the season starts, or are you okay whenever it gets done?
It gets done when it gets done.
You said you were confident to keep the band together. You're referring to the receivers. Why are you so confident that you'll be able to do that based on your contract?
Well, we'll see. Obviously, that's ideal situation when you keep guys together for a long time. They build rapport and they build chemistry, and that translates onto the field. So that's obviously the goal.
That headband is kind of his thing this year.
It is.
Joe
His
Burrow.
new look. I like it.
And it works. Longer hair and the headband. Works better than Arthur Smith's mustache. That's for damn sure. So, every time I hear Joe Burrow talk about his contract, and this is my own inherent bias, this is my own desire to see somebody get paid a percentage of the cap.
Yes.
But I run everything he says through that filter. And when he says we want to come up with something that works for me and that works for the team, it's hard for me not to scream out as he's speaking, percentage of the cap. That's what works. It's a set percentage that will be devoted every year to Joe Burrow, and the rest of the dollars are available to pay all of your other players. And Burrow is never screwed by the circumstances of the cap going up and up and up and the market going up and up and up. And then you wake up one day and you're 7, 8, 9 million per year behind the highest paid player in the league at your position. You're not being properly respected, and the salary cap is so high that of course you could be getting more and should be getting more. Tie it to a percentage of the cap. That's what they should do. I've tried to find out whether or not Burrow was trying to get a little equity as part of his deal. And again, that's something that's off the table now. The percentage of the cap is not off the table. It is available. It is permitted under the CBA. Others have tried to get it. No one has ever pulled it off. To me, when I hear Burrow talk about win-win, that is the true win-win. That is what I hope that he and the Bengals do, because then I hope other teams will do it. And then we get to the point where we value a quarterback not based on total dollars, but based on the percentage of the cap that gets devoted to his contract.
Yeah, I hear you. There's a lot that makes sense there. One, of course, the teams don't want that totally, right? And 2, I don't know. I'm going to be interested to see the quarterback who has the guts to kind of do that finally. Because I think, too, within that, you're going to get painted a little bit as like, okay, he's selfish, or you're going to have some of that backlash, even though.
Well, why? Why would that? Why? But see,
because
this is one of the things that I hope. Hang on. This is one of the things I hope that fans and media are becoming sensitive to as we have this running back discussion. You're not being selfish if you're trying to get paid fairly and completely for the skills you have, that you have a finite number of years to use. We're tuning in to watch the players. I said this yesterday. We tune in to watch the players, not the cutaway of Jerry Jones having his glasses cleaned in the luxury suite. So why do you have this resistance? Why do you want to use the word selfish when we're talking about guys getting fair and full value for their skills? I don't get it.
Well, because that's what's going to be the perception there. I'm not necessarily saying
we need to change the perceptions. We need to use this platform to try to change the perceptions.
Okay, I do all the time. I do, and I'm for it. But I'm just not saying it's just not that easy. And I've been a quarterback in the NFL, and it's not always easy to put yourself in that situation. And there is a point where you're seeing like we have this conversation with all these guys. They start to just finally go, yeah, I mean, maybe I'm worth $500 million, but $400 million's enough. And entertainers get screwed over in all types of the entertainment business, and that's just what happens. That's all I'm trying to say.
Do they?
Yeah. I mean,
do they though?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I see, rock stars, rappers, everybody always complaining about, damn, I made all these hits. I got to give it to some guy who runs the studio or whatever. I'm not seeing anything, even though I did everything. They finally get to a point in their career maybe where they have, control of their masters, but that's like very few people. But still, I'm just posing the question. Yeah, Joe Burrow, like I said on Tuesday, I think the Justin Herbert contract probably puts more pressure on Joe Burrow to be more team-friendly. That's all I'm doing. I'm pointing it out. I'm not saying I'm for that. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying it's going to be hard, and I think that the way quarterbacks are wired, like you discussed yesterday, it's their love of the game, their love of wanting other guys on the team, their love of wanting to be great, especially this group, it gets used against them, and they become, like we're saying, they unselfish, and they take a little less. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to say I'm in favor of that or not.
Right. We've talked about in the past that Joe Burrow is one of the unique personalities who would have the ability to sit there at a press conference after he signs his contract and explain in a plausible way how a cap percentage is actually good for the team. It's good for everybody. Look, I have a set finite number, and I've committed for 10 years, and we're never going to have these conversations about whether or not I need a new contract. Should I get a new contract? Look at Patrick Mahomes. He's at $45 million, $7.5 million now per year behind Justin Herbert, and it's only going to get worse with Joe Burrow's deal, and then Trevor Lawrence's deal, and then Justin Fields' deal, and then on and on we go into the future until Mahomes gets his new contract.
Well, let me pose you this question.
And I think Burrow can explain it. Look, it's fine. They're going to have 85 cents out of every dollar that they can use for all the other players. Whatever the cap is, they're going to have 85 cents on the dollar of every dollar for the rest of the positions on the field. And we've done the math. The average percentage for the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL is 15.213 cents, and that's what I'm taking. So, I mean, he's going to be in a position where he can explain it, and I think it'll be believable, and the fans of the Bengals will accept it, and hopefully the media will too, and we open a new door for properly and fairly paying quarterbacks.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if it's going to get there, and I don't know if the teams will see it that way. And
no, they won't. They refuse to do it.
Well,
they refuse to do it
because
that's why it hasn't happened. They refuse to do it.
That's where I want to get into it a little bit. Like Burrow, first off, we know this is coming down the pipe. I mean, come on, he's the greatest thing to happen to the Cincinnati Bengals ever. This is the greatest thing ever. So, I mean, yeah, he could probably hold their feet over the fire, their butts over the fire, whatever else, and really get, some of the things that you're talking about. But when you talk about percentage of the cap too, there is going to be major roadblocks for teams. The finagling of the contract and not, to your point, having a few years where, he's actually not worth 15% of the salary cap. And this year he's worth like 6%. They can finagle things and get other players and mix and match different contracts that way. You're going to lose that if it's always set 15%. And that's where I think teams will continue to push back. And I think teams will continue to try to say that to the player and go, man, we were going to finagle it to where this one year you were going to get 9% and Jamar Chase was going to make up that other 6%. And that's where they're going to use it against these players, I think, ultimately.
I got no sympathy for the people who are paid a crap load of money to figure out how to manage a salary cap. I think, plain and simple, the teams don't want to see the league, the structure, the apparatus, the management council doesn't want to see the players have more power and likes it when, every year that a quarterback is underpaid is money that gets squirreled away into the super yacht maintenance fund. Oops, our quarterback was underpaid this year. Oops, well, maybe we should do something about it. Oh, he's really not making a big stink about it because he's afraid Chris Simms is going to call him selfish. Well, we benefit from it next year too. Oh, our quarterback's underpaid. That's more money for me. That's more money for other positions. And we assume every team is spending up to the cap every year, and that's just not the case. There is money that gets sucked off the top by some of these owners as raw profit, and it never gets spent. So that's the thing. And we don't have the time or the occasion or the access to all the information to figure out the full and complete cash expenditures each and every year. But I think that it's about power, it's about control, and it's about accidentally stumbling into years where your quarterback is underpaid and there ain't a damn thing he will or can do about it.
Yeah.
So they don't want to give up that power. Darrelle Revis tried to get it more than 10 years ago with the Jets. Kirk Cousins has tried to get it. And I think that Joe Burrow has the best chance of getting it because I can see Mike Brown being the one guy to give the middle finger to the rest of the league and say, I'm not going to do this thing that you want me to do. I'm going to do it my way.
I know. Well, listen, you want to I'm with you, and I'm never going to call anybody selfish for getting that money. I never have said that. You know that. I know you were just using an example. But, hey, the root of this problem, and if you really want to get into it, the root of the problem is one guy. He used to wear number 12 up in New England. He's the problem. He's the reason all these quarterbacks feel this. Yeah, he didn't wear 12. He wore 14, and a neck roll.
14.
All right?
And a neck roll.
And a neck roll. And so you were like, they're not going to win. He's wearing a neck roll. It's not going to happen. But yeah, that's where this started. And that's where the great praise for Brady that he took less and that allowed him to build. That's what all these guys grew up hearing on TV all the time. So that's what they're trying to do. And then they want their legacy to meet Tom Brady. So they think this is what I got to do to make it happen. And that's not necessarily true to your point, right? And, Brady, I know early in his career, he wasn't as forgiving with his contract. I mean, he was hardliner, but he got softer with it, I guess, as he accumulated money and got later on in his career. And he's the one that didn't push it to where it should be. And he's the one that is now the reason why these guys are taking team-friendly deals, because that's anybody ever's talked about over the last 10 years with Tom Brady and the New England Patriots and the greatest dynasty we've ever seen.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.